in Romania, the video that I made before this one. There's still a lot to be said concerning caves and interconnecting underground tunnel systems, including the North Pole and South Pole holes. These are evidenced as we see in this one here. This is a NASA picture taken in 1996 from the space station, and it's flying above the North Pole, and as you can see very clearly, there is a hole. There is a hole. And let's go to another one. Same picture taken by NASA in 1996. There you go again, and there's an even better one here. And this is above the Canadian Northern Territories that you see here. And then if we go to the South Pole, I couldn't find very clear pictures, but we do find two Antarctica openings. One has a cover, believe it or not, and close by there's another one without a cover. So let's go to the first opening with the cover. This is longitude 66.33 south, latitude 99.5 east. So let's go. You'll find markings on Google Earth as well. But let's go closer into it. Closer into it. A little bit focused so that you can see the cap. There is a cap. There we go. That's the cap, you see? Looks like a huge helmet. And that's the opening right there. And if we measure this now, if we measure, we get that's in meters it's 32 meters, and in feet it's 105 feet across. Let's get a closer look at that. It's very, very homey looking because it's got a closure around the orifice. See? And that's it. It's it's made of metal, of course. And everything is dry here, so we have a beautiful picture of it. And now let's go out close by. We have another opening. Let's go to the other opening. Okay. And this is again evidence of openings in the South Pole, because I couldn't find clear enough pictures. When I do, I'll post them as well, but I'm still looking. So this is the second opening. Let's go further in. There we go. Nicely done. There we go. And let's measure this one as well. And if we measure it across, let's do it from the inside, the interior part. Go across to that opening there, and that's in meters it's 75 meters, and in feet it's 247 feet. So that's even bigger. And if we go across, let's go across, it's 107 feet or 32 meters. So this is bigger than the previous one. That's it. Let's go out. Admiral Byrd was the first to have flown to the North Pole in a trip that took him, return trip, 15.5 hours. That was in 1926. And in 1929, he made a trip to the South Pole, to Antarctica. And then again in January 1956, Admiral Byrd led another expedition to the Antarctic and they're penetrated for 2,300 miles beyond the South Pole. So that was his second trip. Antarctica is still a very big mystery to most people. It's not taught to us in school whatsoever, and there's very little information on it still unless you go and try and dig into it. Admiral Richard Byrd had his second trip in Antarctica. During his stay in Antarctica in 1947, he flew into the inner Earth. And to the left of this picture here is a picture taken by a NASA satellite. So you can clearly see the hole in the top, what we call the top of our planet Earth. And this is the opening at the North Pole. It's a picture of Admiral Byrd in his 1947 stay in Antarctica. And he also wrote a diary of his experiences with his travels, North and South Poles. And he claims to have met with giant humans of an advanced intellect. These giant humans were inhabitants of inner Earth, and they were warning him of various predictions coming to the human race because of their lifestyle, their way of living, and that they were very warmongering people, unfaithful people, and he wrote a diary of his experiences with these people. He was also briefed by the U.S. intelligence. So this is a very nice picture, again, of the North Pole opening by NASA satellite. So is the inner Earth good or evil? That same question can be asked of outer Earth. It appears that the first 200 to 300 miles, both beneath and above sea level, is a region of predominant negativity for thousands of years now. This outer world of ours has been dominated by war and chaos, by forces that are anti-human, demonic type. Let's remember also that in the age of Alexander the Great, about 330 BC, one of the most important things that Alexander the Great did was to keep a record of the various types of peoples he and his forces met as he was stretching towards the east. Let's remember, he went towards the east and not the west. He had to go towards the east because the east is where all these foul beings were. The half human, half snake, half human, half cow, half human, half goat, half human, half elephant. The giants with the six-fingered hands, six-toed feet, so on and so forth. The people with tails, like looking half ape. They killed most of them. The ones that they couldn't, they backed up and put into the inner Earth, and they built mounds, monuments. They closed them. They imprisoned them in the inner Earth, in caves and tunnel systems, pouring over them all types of metals that these beings would find poisonous and they would not be able to touch. And this is, again, what we find in the Old Testament. At the time of the Great Flood, the Old Testament tells us that there were giants living in the earth in those days. Those giants were huge creatures. They were taken away by the flood because of their sinful natures. Let's remember that even the filthy types of beings, what Alexander the Great called the filthy, the dirty, the abominable creatures that he came across, were creatures that captured human beings and used them as food. They would eat their flesh and drink their blood. So these are the beings that had to be done away with. So now we're in this present day and age where, with our technology and our beautiful systems of flight and satellite imagery, we have indications of openings of caves and tunnel systems into the inner earth. Of course, this is nothing new because this is written in the Old Testament. For example, Isaiah 14:15, sides of the pit, Isaiah 51:10, the great deep, Psalm 135 verse 6, deep places, Matthew 12:40, heart of the earth, Ephesians 4:9, lower parts of the earth, Romans 10:11, the deep earth, 10 verse 7, the deep earth, the deep, 2 Peter verse 2:4, Tartarus, Revelations 5:13, under the earth, Revelations 9:1, the bottomless pit. And of course, let me remember also in the Old Testament, Sheol was what we call Hades or hell, okay? The deep place of darkness where Satan and his fallen angels are to be cast out by God. That you see here. And then if we go to the South Pole, I couldn't find very clear pictures, but we do find 2 Antarctica openings. One has a cover, believe it or not, and close by there's another one without a cover. So let's go to the first opening with the cover. This is after the Buceti caves and tunnel systems in Romania, the video that I made before this one. There's still a lot to be said concerning caves and interconnecting underground tunnel systems, including the North Pole and South Pole holes. These are evidenced as we see in this one here. This is a NASA picture taken in 1996 from the space station, and it's flying above the North Pole, and as you can see very clearly, there is a hole. There is a hole. And let's go to another one. Same picture taken by NASA in 1996. There you go again, and there's an even better one here. And this is above the Canadian Northern Territory.